Welcome to New York Weekly Record, where nothing surprises us in NYC. I'm your host, Michele Evans. If you thought August was supposed to be the sleepy part of the news cycle, apparently nobody told New York. This week, Luigi Mangione walked into federal court and pleaded guilty. Then his lawyers immediately asked a state judge to throw out his Manhattan murder case. Carmine Agnello, grandson of John Gotti, finally reported to federal prison after losing his bid to delay surrender for a kidney transplant. A rat emoji helped send a defendant back behind bars in Brooklyn. Yes, you heard me correctly, a rat emoji. And on Long Island, one woman came home from prison and chose something completely different: family, responsibility, and helping raise 12 children. So we have federal court, organized crime history, social media drama, and a story that may restore a little of your faith in humanity. Basically, a perfectly normal week in New York. Luigi Mangione guilty plea changes everything. Luigi Mangione just changed both of his criminal cases with 2 words: guilty plea. On Friday, Mangione appeared before federal judge Margaret Garnett in Manhattan and pleaded guilty to the 2 remaining federal stalking charges arising from the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. And this was not some quiet technical plea. Mangione admitted in open court that he planned the attack and shot Thompson in Manhattan. The federal case had already been narrowed. The firearm and murder through a firearm counts, including the charge that once exposed him to the death penalty, had previously been dismissed. What remained were 2 stalking resulting in death charges, each carrying a potential maximum of life. There was no conventional plea agreement guaranteeing Mangione a particular sentence. Prosecutors indicated a guideline range of roughly 24 to 30 years, but Judge Garnett will ultimately decide the sentence. Then came the second bombshell. Almost immediately after the federal plea, Mangione's lawyers moved to dismiss his Manhattan murder prosecution on double jeopardy grounds. Judge Gregory Caro had rejected that argument before, but importantly, he called it premature because Mangione had not yet been convicted in federal court. Well, that problem is gone. New York's double jeopardy law can provide broader protection than the federal Constitution's dual sovereignty rule. So now, Caro may have to decide whether those federal convictions prevent Manhattan prosecutors from trying Mangione for murder and weapons charges arising from the same killing. And the defense went even further, accusing state and federal prosecutors of coordinating the order of the 2 prosecutions so both governments could get their shot at him. The Manhattan trial is scheduled to begin September 8th. Friday's guilty plea did not end the Luigi Mangione case. It may have started its biggest legal fight yet. Carmine Agnello enters federal custody. A member of the Gotti family is back in federal custody, and this one came with a last-minute medical fight. Carmine Agnello, the 40-year-old grandson of late Gambino crime boss John Gotti, was ordered to surrender after a federal judge rejected his request to delay the start of his prison sentence because of a planned kidney transplant. Agnello had sought to push his surrender into September. The judge said no. By Monday evening, NY Weekly Record independently confirmed through a federal corrections employee that Agnello had entered custody and was designated to FCI Fairton in New Jersey. That confirmation came while the Federal Bureau of Prisons public inmate locator was still showing him as not in custody, which is a good reminder that public databases do not always update in real time. Agnello's case has attracted attention for obvious reasons. His grandfather was John Gotti, one of the most famous organized crime figures in American history. But the legal issue here was much more ordinary and much more human. When does a serious medical need justify delaying a prison surrender? Agnello's attorneys argued the transplant required additional time. The court ultimately decided the sentence had to begin. And that left Agnello facing the same reality every federal defendant, eventually faces once a surrender date becomes final. At some point, the paperwork stops being paperwork. The date arrives, and the prison door closes. Sometimes a rat emoji is not just a rat emoji. I promise you, I did not make this headline up. A federal judge in Brooklyn revoked Nero Laster's bail after a hearing involving social media activity that included a rat emoji. Laster is a co-defendant of former NBA player Terry Rozier, and prosecutors argued that his online conduct crossed the line from internet commentary into intimidation. Normally, an emoji is not exactly the kind of evidence that makes people think federal court. But context is everything. Calling someone a rat has a very particular meaning in criminal cases. Prosecutors argued the post could be understood as targeting or intimidating someone connected to the case, and the judge took the conduct seriously enough to send Laster back into custody. People sometimes treat social media as though it exists in a separate universe where normal consequences do not apply. Courts do not. If you are under indictment and released on conditions, your posts, messages, emojis, likes, and comments can become evidence. A judge can look at the audience, timing, surrounding language, and circumstances of the case. Suddenly, the little cartoon animal you tapped on your phone is Exhibit A. Bail is not a trial. Judges are making decisions about risk, compliance, and whether release conditions are being followed. So here is this week's extremely 21st century legal lesson. If you are out on federal bail, maybe do not communicate in emojis that require a judge to hold a hearing about what you meant. After prison, she chose family. Not every story this week ended in a courtroom. On Long Island, I wrote about Tanasia Angleton, a woman whose life after prison became a story about something much harder to measure than a sentence. What you do when you finally get another chance. Tanasia served 7 years in prison. When she came home, she could have focused entirely on rebuilding her own life. Nobody would have blamed her. Instead, she ran toward responsibility. Today, she is helping raise 12 children. Re-entry stories are too often told in only two ways. Either someone comes home and fails, which becomes a crime story, or someone achieves something spectacular enough to become an inspirational headline. Real life is usually somewhere in between. Re-entry is housing, groceries, school schedules, transportation, jobs, family, trying to rebuild trust, trying to figure out who you are after years of being told when to eat, sleep, move, and stand in line. And sometimes success looks like showing up every morning for people who need you. Tanasia's story is not interesting because prison magically transformed her into a perfect person. It is interesting because she came home and made choices. She chose family. She chose responsibility. She chose to build something. We talk constantly about whether people deserve second chances. Maybe we should spend a little more time looking at what happens when someone actually gets one. Because sometimes the most important re-entry statistic is not recidivism. Sometimes it is 12 kids who know somebody is going to be there tomorrow. And that is NY Weekly Record for this week. We went from one of the most watched criminal cases in the country to a Gotti grandson entering federal custody, to the legal consequences of one very badly timed rat emoji, and finally to a woman proving that life after prison can be about building something instead of simply surviving what came before. That is New York news in a nutshell. Huge constitutional questions 1 minute, something so strange you could not invent it the next. And somewhere in between, ordinary people quietly doing extraordinary things. If you like the show, share it with somebody who likes their New York news with the paperwork attached. You can find more reporting anytime at nyweeklyrecord.com. I'm Michele Evans. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you right back here next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for another NY Weekly Record. Until then, stay curious, read past the headline, and please, for the love of federal bail conditions, use your emojis responsibly.